you made this?
Feeling good, got some weed up in my wood, chasing dreams just like I should, letting go because I could. Used to have my...
Welcome back to another episode of JK Philly. Today we got Court Cousins on today for the Orlando Magic. How you doing, man?
I am doing well, Just. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming on. So I just gave you the little bit of a rundown. Just ask you a few little questions that we'll just, talk about the Magic season, and, we'll see where we go from there. But introduce your channel, give the fans a little bit of a background for what you got going on, and then, we'll just continue with what the rest of the questions that we got.
Absolutely. If there's any NBA junkies there in your community in Philadelphia that want some more Orlando Magic inside news, check us out at Court Cousins. We're on, YouTube's all over wherever you can stream your podcast. My name is Kyle. I do the show with my cousin, Jason the Peach, as well as a few other contributors. And so we'll be going into all the off-season stuff. If you're curious about what the Orlando Magic are doing, come on by the channel, Court Cousins.
For sure. Definitely appreciate that. Let's start out from the beginning. I know going through this season, there wasn't too much news with, transactions and stuff like that. Of course, if you start from the very beginning, you drafted your rookie Silva, and then you also, one of the biggest media points was signing KCP to that deal as well. However, instead of just asking about how their production was, because that's what we usually do with other teams, I want to just ask more of an important topic that I've talked about with a few teams now, and even our team in particular. So why don't we just discuss from the very jump about the amount of injury that's been on the team this year that you guys faced. Of course, earlier in the year, in the regular season, Paolo and Franz were injured with their respective injuries, of course. And then as we move throughout the season, the other Wagner brother, Mo, goes out. And, of course, Jalen Suggs had his surgery after his knee injury. But just wanted to know, after you understand all of that, it's not really like it happened all at the same time, like the Sixers or like Utah, where it was all just like, hey, we're putting out our worst guys at this point. How did you really intake all those injuries throughout this season? And just give me your thoughts about that.
Well, injuries, unfortunately, just are something that us Magic fans are all too used to. Starting with the poster child for injury, which is Jonathan Isaac, who we selected with the 6th overall pick not too many years ago.
Right.
He has been more of a sideline model than a player on the floor, who we thought that's the type of guy who could have Defensive Player of the Year type of impact. And we might talk a little bit about him. But I think over the past 5 or so years, the Magic are among the top teams in terms of player games lost due to injury. So this is a theme that is well rehearsed in the Orlando Magic community. Last year, though, we stayed pretty healthy. Our star, Paolo Banchero, was healthy for the most part. Franz Wagner has been an Iron Man, playing, I think, 80 games in his first couple of years in the league. Jalen Suggs, ever since he came in, has been a little nicked up. But for the most part, last year was a healthy year. And it was great because we pushed the Cavs to 7 games. So coming into this year, I was, on a high. Fan expectations were really high. Team expectations were really high. So when Paolo Banchero went down and he had just played a game and there wasn't any injury that you observed, I think it was against the Bulls was the game before his injury. We were kind of left scratching our heads. Did something happen in practice? What's going on? And it definitely took the wind out of the sails when you hear it's an oblique issue. He ends up missing 20-some games, almost a quarter of the season. And that really took the wind out of the sails from my perspective. Right after the injury, I think we lost maybe 3 or 4 in a row as the team adjusted. But then all of a sudden we get on a hot streak. Franz steps up and starts playing at that all-star level that we've seen him play at.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of like, all right, well, if the rest of the crew can right the ship while Paulo's down, we're good to go. And then Franz goes down. And it's like, man, we can't catch a break. Paolo did come back, but then Moritz tears the ACL. So with your question, I don't know if this is maybe it's better to have it like you guys did, where the injuries were just a thing that you had to deal with right from the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
With Embiid, and then you had the awesome rookie Jared McCain, right? He went down.
Yeah.
That might have been an easier pill to swallow, because you can tell me from your perspective, at that point you're probably like, well, there it goes, But for us Magic fans, it was kind of like, all right, well, if this one guy comes back, we can keep pushing. But then he would come back and another guy would go down.
Right.
And then he would come back and then, oh no, Moritz is out for the season. And that was a bigger blow, I think, than people probably outside of the Orlando Magic community realized. Go look up Moritz Wagner, everybody. I mean, this is a mean man coming off the bench. He plays with an edge and a tenacity. He was our sixth man. He was right there with Peyton Pritchard halfway through the season as sixth man of the year publicity.
Right.
So that guy was a huge impact on our team, a guy that can get you like 15 to 20 off the bench and really is the spark plug. So him going out hurt, and then Jalen Suggs, that was a really wishy-washy injury. The news of that came out in spits and spurts.
Yeah.
And then we find out, oh, he has to have a surgery in the knee, and we realize, oh, he's out for the season. And that, not to say that having those two guys would have helped us potentially beat the Celtics. I don't think we're ready for that leap as a young team, but I think it would have been a much more competitive series with Jalen Suggs, who is the head of the snake in terms of our defensive identity, and Moritz Wagner, who provides really the only scoring punch we had off the bench. So the injuries, the way they came, in my opinion, it was almost more painful because it was like slow torture, just.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree with that. I think, as you were saying, if you have to take it and they're both going to get injured, you would rather take our option of just like, hey, Embiid's out, Jared McCain towards his meniscus, Paul George is iffy because he has knee problems every other day, and then all our other role players just have like ticky-tack injuries throughout the season. So we were kind of set of just like, okay, or at least in a fan's perspective, just like, okay, I'm not going to be hype about the season this year. I understand people are going through whatever they're going through, but as you say, and I'd even mentioned in the beginning of just like how you guys performed last season of just basically at 500 and then performing even better this year and then having to deal with that as well. It's definitely like you take 2 steps forward and then, 1 step back, or whatever the saying is of, it is a little bit frustrating to hear that. So yeah, let's move into the next question. My thoughts of this is a very random question, and I don't know if it's random to a Magic fan or it's just random to like anybody that watches the NBA, but can you tell me your true thoughts about Cole Anthony on your team? Because I don't know why, but just since he came into the league and watching Orlando Magic games, I've always just had like my eye on him of just like how he performs with the team. And I think just of like this season and past seasons, I've just started to see him more and more on social media of just like, okay, maybe this guy isn't like, a 20-point scorer every single night, and he's coming off the bench, of course, but he really seems like a good role player that knows his role, that's like a glue guy. He's energetic. I really like those types of players, but I just want to know from your point of view as just like a true Magic fan of how you view him on your team.
Yeah, I mean, you hit a lot of the positive things about Cole Anthony, man. This guy is the heart and soul of the squad. If you ask any of the players who's got the comedic edge on the team, they're going to answer Cole Anthony. He's definitely a fan favorite for his sound bites and post-game interviews. He's that guy that just captures the imagination of a city. So he's very much intertwined with the identity of the club and with the fans, and everyone loves him. But if you're asking me to be real, we're looking at Cole Anthony as, maybe the ceiling for him is that microwave scorer off the bench. Yeah. You're hoping he can come in and consistently give you 15 to 20 points as that guy with a little bit of playmaking on the ball and then some stretching of the floor, shooting from 3. The fact of the matter, though, is just Cole Anthony's just been a streaky player, really, since he came into the league. And you're willing and able to look over that as a second year player, maybe even third year player, where that's common, right? The consistency is what young guys struggle with in the 82 game season. But now Cole is in his 4th year. He's into his 2nd contract, maybe even his 5th year. No, he's into his 4th year now, into his 2nd contract. He just got the extension, which is right around the mid-level exception, $12 million, $13 million a year. So it's not a crazy contract. He's definitely a valuable contributor over an 82-game regular season. Right. But what I saw in the playoffs and what's going to continue to hurt him is that the Celtics just hunted for him and Corey Joseph. Like anytime those guys were on the floor, They were putting them in actions where Jason Tatum was getting switched on to Cole Anthony. Jaylen Brown was getting switched on to Cole Anthony. And the guy, he's going to try like nobody else, but he just doesn't have the swiftness of foot and the size to stay in front of these guys. And I think that's why he really struggles. And that's why he didn't get as much playing time with Coach Jamal Mosley, who is a defensive-minded guy. And this team, number 2 defense in the NBA, is a defensive-minded team. That's where the Orlando Magic hang their hat. Right. So it's going to be tough for Cole Anthony to continue to contribute. And from my perspective, I'm looking for a little bit more than a guy who's going to kind of get played out of the rotation in big playoff moments. Yeah. Now, maybe you can just argue that the Celtics weren't the matchup. Maybe if you're playing a different team like the Knicks and Deuce McBride is their guard that comes off, a shorter guy, then okay, Cole Anthony can match up with him better. But I don't know. The consistency hasn't been there. The shooting splits are kind of not going in the right direction. We're all rooting for Cole Anthony, and I hope he continues to get better and continues to become more consistent. I'm just worried that the identity of the team and his skill set are going in divergent paths.
Yeah, I was definitely going to say that as well, because I'm glad that we kind of have similar thoughts about it. And obviously not being a Magic fan, it leads me to ask the question of just like when I'm doing my research and I'm going down the roster list of, everybody else that's on the bench, the other guards that you guys have within the team, it makes me start to think of like, does he have any value of, getting rid of? Because I'm not a Magic fan. I don't care too much about if he stays or goes, of course. But from all the positive things that you stated and even I stated in the beginning, do those weigh even a little bit to like get you something back in return for him?
Well, for all you general managers listening out there, Cole Anthony is a supreme talent. All right, you want him on your team. Just drive up that trade value.
Right.
I don't mean to say that I want Cole Anthony gone, because he can hypothetically bring what this team needs. And I think if you're an NBA fan at all, and if you've been following along, the Achilles heel of the Orlando Magic is 3-point shooting. So for us to then be willing to get rid of a guy who shot 35% from beyond the arc, not great, but capable, league average type of guy, that's actually really good on our team.
Right.
So, if you're telling me whoever is coming back can shoot the rock at a higher clip, I'll be okay with it. But we can't send out Cole Anthony and bring in another defensive-minded guy who can't shoot the ball. So it's situational. I have his contract at that $13 million is perfect for the mid-level exception. So that's no accident. A lot of the contracts that have been given to him as an extension, to Wendell Carter Jr., to Jonathan Isaac, they really feel more like puzzle pieces that our front office, Jeff Weltman and Anthony Parker, are going to be used to match salary for, okay, who is that piece to bring in next to Paolo and Franz?
Right.
It feels like to me as this team progresses that Cole Anthony maybe isn't going to be in the final iteration of this team that's trying to push for deep playoff runs and championship contention. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope he has a great offseason and comes in consistent all year next year, shooting the ball near 40% from beyond the arc. But when we look at his splits over the past 5 years, 33%, 33%, 36%, 34%, 35%. He's going to have to become a different guy, and that just doesn't seem realistic or fair.
Right.
And while it's going to be tough, I think many Magic fans are ready to bid adieu to our beloved Pokemon master in Cole Anthony.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking the same way. That's why I brought up the question of just like you were stating, and it kind of leads me into, I didn't even really have this on my list of things I wanted to go over, but it kind of leads me into my next topic of just like, forget contracts and stuff like that, but you're hearing about Giannis, you're hearing about people like KD, other people around the league that maybe not have those big of names, but still people that are looking to go somewhere to compete. Who do you think fit the best alongside your 2 stars right now?
There's the hot name on the market in the Orlando Magic community is Anthony Simons. He is an Orlando native, played his high school ball in Orlando, so he's definitely a fan favorite. Over in Portland, he doesn't really seem to fit with the trajectory of the team. Yeah. He's taking away that starting spot from Scoot. Do the Trailblazers then want to like move into, all right, let's do the Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson backcourt? And so Simons doesn't really fit. He is a better fit in terms of age trajectory and where we are in terms of wanting to compete. So that is a very common name that you're going to hear in the Orlando Magic community. It's really just, we need some shooting.
Yeah.
We need some playmaking, because when Paolo isn't on the floor, Franz isn't on the floor, and just generally from the point guard position, we're pretty bereft of playmaking chops and definitely shooting.
Yeah.
Like, it just goes to show you that Corey Joseph was our starting our starting point guard in the playoffs. My co-host Peach and I, when we were talking about the Corey Joseph acquisition in the this past offseason, well, okay, veteran guy, end of bench guy.
Right.
If Corey Joseph is in a game, either we're up by 20 or something has gone horribly, horribly wrong, and he ends up starting like our last 20 games.
Right.
So things did go horribly, horribly wrong from the point guard position. And I think that is the position that many Magic fans are hoping to upgrade. A lot of people are like talking about Trae Young. Now, do the contract machinations of that all work? I told you already, we had those Jonathan Isaac extensions. Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be making, I think, like $20 million at some point. So you can see where you can put those contracts together to be able to make it work. It's just a huge exit from the defensive identity of the team if you're going to bring in a guy like Trae Young. But I think Magic fans are kind of ready for that. We took the defensive experiment as far as you can take it, Jeff Weltman. We're one of the best defensive teams in the league, and it just didn't matter squat because we couldn't score the ball. I mean, we were holding teams to under 100 points a lot of games, and we were losing some of those games.
Right.
And in the NBA, that's just bonkers. So, I mean, to have a guy like Trae Young that could pull up at the logo and then give Paolo room to operate then in the painted area, that's what people are looking for. So I think Trae Young might be a little pie in the sky. We're getting a little bit closer with an Anthony Simons type. I was screaming from the mountaintops, just give me like a Tyus Jones type of guy who's secure with the ball, who can put guys in the right position and can shoot almost 40% from three.
Right.
So Jeff Weltman has been really patient. If you look at his interviews post this season, he knows that he needs to make a move.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that pressure is going to, if other teams know that, I mean, I'm sure they do, and what kind of leverage that will mean. But us Magic fans are expecting a turnover of, 3 to 4 players this offseason, and one of them needs to be a point guard who can shoot the damn ball, Jess.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like the sound of Anthony Simons. I was always a fan of him, even when Dame was back over there and he was just like under Dame's wing, and seeing how he progressed for the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, just anyone who can put up like, 8 to 9 3-point attempts. We need shot volume from the perimeter to give our two stars, Paolo and Franz, who are not perimeter players. They want to get to the hoop. They need room to operate. And so anyone that can do that is going to be welcome in an Orlando Magic uniform.
Well, I definitely want to move to the last part of, the topics that I have. I know we alluded to it a little bit earlier, talking about the playoff series. Basically, everybody, this is recorded on, I don't even know what today is, May 8th. Losing in 5 against the Boston Celtics. We see right now that the Knicks, completely different conversation, but the Knicks are up 2-0 right now currently. The Celtics might go back and win 4 straight. I don't know. But that's a different conversation. But just give me your key takeaways, good or bad, about how you think the Magic, really shown themselves this series.
Yeah, I think from a Magic fan perspective, the gentleman's sweep was about what we expected. I think we wanted Game 4 where we had them at home on the ropes when we were in Orlando. We were winning that game. But then they came back and won it. That was a tough one to take. But again, like Paolo Banchero is a star, and he could be a superstar in this league. And that's what we saw, right? He's averaging 30 points in the biggest moments. This guy, including last year against the Cavs, he's one of those gamers. He rises to the moments. He loves pressure. And so we just got to love that in Orlando. It's been a while since we've had a bona fide superstar.
Yeah.
You got to go back to Dwight Howard, and then you're going all the way back to Penny and Shaq. So we've got another guy here, and we feel like we have the Robin to his Batman in Franz Wagner. And Franz had a solid series too. Horrible shooting the ball from 3. Hopefully he works on that. But still, even though teams were trying to take that away, he was still getting 25. So he's a dangerous player. That just shows you 6'10". 2 of these guys 6'10", can handle the ball, can put it off the glass. Paolo has a really solid 3-point shot. I mean, we loved it, right? We kind of bloody. Well, we'll take a little credit for how the Knicks are doing right now. We banged up those Celtics, all right?
For sure.
Yeah. Jason Tatum goes down. He falls on his wrist. Oh, no. He falls on his wrist the first game. Oh, the Boston fans, they're so upset.
Right.
They gave me so much in our comments and our reactions about that.
I believe
about
it.
how we're playing dirty. No, these are playoff fouls, man. Kenny, we're playing hard. Goga Batadze, our backup center, unmeaning to, busts open Kristaps' forehead. Jaylen Brown had been dealing with the knee. Jrue Holiday was out. So I think we gave the Celtics more than they bargained for. They said so much in post-game interviews that they had to change the way that they played against the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that gets up damn near 50 3-point shots in a game. I mean, they missed 45 in the first game against the Knicks.
Yeah.
So, if they missed that many, how many they taken?
Right.
Against the Magic, I don't know if they passed the 30 mark in terms of attempts more than once. They may have gotten there, but we were holding them way under their normal attempts.
Right.
So I love to see it from a Magic fan that we can kind of, even though we lost that series, we were almost able to dictate how we wanted the series played. We just didn't have enough talent to win it. We needed more scoring. But I think if we had 1 or 2 more guys that could do that scoring, you see that the DNA is right there to be able to get into the second round and beyond when you're taking on the defending world champions, the Boston Celtics, and causing them to have to change their play style.
Right.
So there's a lot of silver linings here from the Magic. I think at the beginning of the year, the team stated that their goal was 4th place in the Eastern Conference to maintain home court advantage because against the Cavs, the team that was at home won. We fell short of expectations, but we still got into the playoffs. We still, exerted ourselves against a really talented team.
Yeah.
And no one expected us to beat the Celtics, so we can't be mad about that. And I think the team showed out well. They never gave up. And we've got a lot of heart on this team, a lot of really talented young players. And the future is definitely bright in Orlando. I'll have to put on these sunglasses because it's so bright.
No, I definitely agree. I honestly think, looking back at the series and just looking strictly at the box score of just you see Franz and Paolo with 30, 40 points consistently throughout the whole series. And then you look at the rest of the team and,
Right.
I came in Wendell
Yeah,
Carter Jr. Right. It's
Right.
10 points, 11 points here.
Yeah.
KCP who you just signed for is, scoring 4,
0,
0, 6.
2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I think you were really a Jalen Suggs short and some role player coming out to really perform and be consistent.
Those are our 2 third and fourth top scorers in Jalen Suggs and Moritz Wagner, and they're out.
Right.
So the question always was, well, who's going to be the third guy? Like you said, can Anthony Black have a good game? He's shown some ability to have some, 20-point games in him, some 25-point games in him. Is it going to be Wendell? He had one good game, and I think that was the game that we won. So it's if we had any other support there, we could win a game. We didn't get anything from Cole Anthony. Going back to our earlier conversation, I think Cole dropped 30 in the play-in game against the Hawks, I believe. That would have been nice against the Celtics. If we would have gotten one of those games, we could have done something. But again, consistency. Their bench played consistently. Ours did not. So we need someone to show up. Myself, I was a little perturbed by Coach Mosley and his over-reliance on veterans. I get it. It's the playoffs. You want veteran savvy in there. But Gary Harris has given us nothing, Coach.
Yeah.
Let's run out that rookie who you mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, Tristan da Silva. I mean, another 6'10" guy, very lanky. He's got a sweet-looking shot. Maybe he's one of those gamers. Maybe he can rise to the challenge and give us something else. It was grasping at straws. I think the coach was a little over-reliant on the veterans. We could have seen a little bit less of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. That was the big pickup, and he was giving us nothing.
Yeah.
Huge disappointment of a season for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. man, he better be donating a lot to charities in the greater Orlando area this year, because he has got a lot of work to do to re-win the fan base. So it was just disappointing that no one else could step up. And I think that's why so many fans are looking for 3-4 bodies to change over this summer, because there needs to be an answer.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with you as an NBA fan. I think, you know, the trajectory for where the Orlando Magic is going is definitely up. So I'm definitely excited to see what you guys do this offseason. But like I said, that's all the questions I really have for you. I really appreciate you coming on, you know, giving me your insight about your team. So if there's anything that you want to shout out, of course, your channel and anything that you guys got coming up.
Thanks very much for having us on, Just. I hope your Sixers have a healthier season. I would like to see Joel Embiid back to himself. The East is a lot more fun when the Sixers are cooking and Joel Embiid is at good health. Love that rookie in McCain too. Hopefully he gets back. But if you want to trade us Tyrese Maxey, we'll take him over here. Check out any of our off-season stuff at Court Cousins. And yeah, thanks again, Just.
Thanks, you. All right, guys, make sure you look down into the description for all the links down below, and we'll see you on the next episode. Talk to you.
Peace.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of JK Philly. Make sure you stay tuned by subscribing to the channel.